After the Nickelodeon-themed showcase trailer, I thought things couldn't get any worse for Dragon Age, and then Bioware released this.
Wait! But I didn't do anything!
On paper, the new gameplay reveal surpassed the Goofy showcase in every conceivable way. The character models were now stylized, not outright underage. The atmosphere was now somber and gritty, rather than cartoonish and corny.
We'll need someone with fire in their blood.
And so I can understand why many fans, after watching it, found their hope for the future of the series was renewed. But from beginning to end, something about it just felt off to me. At first I couldn't figure out why, but after I came across an interview with the game's director, Epler, everything clicked. Most of the interview was fairly uninteresting, but one interaction really clarified things for me. It was when the interviewer asked the director if Veilguard intended to carry over the grittiness of the original or stick with a different approach. To which he responds, "For us, it's that feeling of contrast. You get moments of higher fantasy magic coming back to the world through Solus's ritual, but also things get pretty grim and pretty dark in some places for sure." Now this might sound like an unremarkable question and an even more boring answer at first, but the fact that the reporter, after seeing a 2-hour extended stretch of the game, still felt the need to ask such a basic question about the game's tone, and the fact that the director could not even provide a clear answer one way or the other, said everything to me about why Veilguard felt off, because it simply lacks a coherent sense of identity. Identity is an infamously difficult concept to define, but when I refer to it in gaming, I'm talking about the overall thematic tone of a story. In other words, the main overriding themes that tie together a narrative, and without which a game starts to feel artificial. The worst fate for any RPG, because more than any other genre, it's centered around exploration of an in-game world. Call of Duty fans may not care if the main campaign of the next Black Ops game makes no sense, or the world feels artificial, because they're paying to compete in a fun combat arena with friends and strangers alike, not to be immersed in a fascinating new world where their choices and consequences add heft. But it's the opposite for an RPG. Immersion is everything to the experience of roleplaying. If we can't suspend our disbelief, we'll quickly find that every aspect of the gameplay begins to feel like a slog to get through. Well, if you can't visualize how much a shift in tone can really destroy a game, I'll give you an example. Imagine if at the end of Trespasser, Solus, after revealing his plan, lets out a gang sign and says, "This is for the homies." It would completely ruin the tone. Not because the dialogue is objectively bad, it could work in a GTA game, but because it completely breaks the immersion of that specific moment. And Veilguard feels just like this. From what we saw in the trailer, the Veilguard hasn't just abandoned Dragon Age, it's abandoned any sense of identity for itself, leaving it the worst of both worlds. But before I go into the trailer, I just want to remind you guys to like and subscribe. Most of my regular viewers are currently not subscribed, so if you're one of them, or a newcomer who's enjoying what I'm offering, click that button below, you won't be disappointed. Anyway, back to the trailer. The dialogue reeks of B-movie cheese, which wouldn't be a problem in of itself if not for the existential stakes. I'll just give you a reminder as to what they are.
More bloodshed. It is unnecessary. Though I doubt you will thank me. Live well, while time remains.
The 20-minute reveal we were shown picks up just after these events, with Solus at the verge of destroying the literal fabric of society and in the process unleashing a plague of demons, potentially destroying the whole world as we know it. Pretty high stakes, you'd say. But how does Varric respond to this when he finally catches up with Solus? He decides to tell a dad-level joke.
Hey, Chuckles. Hope I'm not interrupting.
And when that fails, asks him to pretty please not go ahead with the ritual because it will hurt people. Something he already reconciled with.
People are dying right now. You need to listen. Please.
Does this behavior fit with the stakes, match the tone, or even make any sense? I'd say no. But it gets even worse. You see, even the art direction suffers from the Veilguard's confused and disjointed identity. Now, I've got no complaints about the city itself. The brief glimpse of Mimrathus we were given was simply breathtaking. And it's clear the team at Bioware have spent a tremendous amount of time and effort concepting and designing their world. And it shows. The futuristic medieval feel of Minathos, with its impressive floating towers, intense magical floodlights, and somber darkness, is extremely evocative. So when the combat pops up and this gritty magical dystopia transforms into an arena for MMO-style battles filled with random flashing lines and demons that look like they swallowed a Berlin techno club, it's extremely disorienting. It's like if a bunch of characters from Frozen suddenly re-emerged in Game of Thrones. In MMOs or games like Overwatch, this sort of overly flashy combat works because the constant stimulation it provides adds some dynamism and flair to the otherwise very cartoonish and simple combat arenas. But that's not the approach Bioware is going for. So it leaves us in a weird middle ground. But I could forgive its confused tone if and only if I could see a single spark of ingenuity hidden underneath. Dragon Age has always been a series that's attempted to push the boundaries of the RPG genre. Origins was a fresh, innovative reimagining of the real-time with pause Baldur's Gate model Bioware themselves had pioneered. Dragon Age 2 had major problems in most departments, yes, but the time-skip narrative style was truly inventive, and probably one of the reasons why, despite all of its problems, I find it's a title I come back to the most. And Inquisition, while in many respects the least original game in the series, brought a level of grandeur and scale we had never seen in the series before. Whereas with Veilguard, Bioware seems only committed to simplifying and dumbing down not only the core narrative identity of the series, but the tactical nature of the gameplay. So to conclude, I'm highly skeptical. It's evident that Bioware doesn't have a clear sense of what the game's identity is, and the more I've seen, the more I've felt this. But a disjointed experience isn't necessarily a bad one. So I'm not going to give up on the title entirely, but I'm also not going to jump on the hype train and pre-order anything before the reviews trickle in. And I recommend you guys do the same. And before anyone comes in with the whole Dragon Age has always been corny, Varric's basically an 80s movie star, well, if the Veilguard has a strong sense of identity, then how was the team who created it able to sit down and come to the conclusion that a multiplayer hero shooter themed trailer was the best representation of all their hard work? Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and if you didn't, let me know why.